The young and the restless spoilers shocked Jack had never been one to shy away from danger, but nothing could have prepared him for that fateful afternoon when a mysterious man walked into his life, a man whose presence would irrevocably alter the course of events in Genoa City. The man introduced himself as Aristotle Dumas, an enigmatic figure with an air of quiet authority. Jack listened intently as Aristotle revealed snippets of his past, a past entwined with a common enemy, Victor. In Aristotle's measured tone, Jack could hear the promise of vengeance and justice, a cause that resonated deeply with his own simmering hatred for the ruthless Victor. Jack had long believed that Victor, a man he deemed nothing short of a bastard, deserved nothing less than to be punished for his transgressions. Yet, even as Jack's heart burned with the desire for retribution, a part of him recognized the complexity hidden beneath Victor's hardened exterior. Victor, after all, had his own tragic narrative, a man who, despite his brutal methods, was driven by a desperate need to protect his family and those he held dear. It was this duality, this bittersweet blend of villainy and vulnerability, that made the impending conflict all the more charged. As Jack and Aristotle settled into a quiet corner of a bustling cafe, Aristotle's eyes gleamed with the weight of shared secrets and mutual grudges. "We both have a score to settle," Aristotle murmured, his voice low and resolute. "Victor's tyranny has bled too many lives already. Together, we can bring him down." Jack's pulse quickened at the prospect of an alliance with someone who not only understood his thirst for justice but was willing to stand shoulder to shoulder against the man who had tormented them both. The plan was audacious, an alliance forged in the fires of vengeance, and as Jack nodded in agreement, the foundation of a formidable partnership was laid. Unbeknownst to them, the intricate game of cat and mouse was unfolding on another front. Victor and his trusted lieutenant, Michael, had been tirelessly scouring the underbelly of Genoa City for any trace of Aristotle Dumas. Rumors had circulated in hushed tones about an elusive figure who might be the key to destabilizing their enemies. Their search had been fruitless, until one rainy afternoon, when Michael's keen eyes caught sight of a familiar figure in a cozy, dimly lit cafe. There, in a secluded booth, sat Jack with a stranger whose very presence exuded calculated intent. Michael's heart skipped a beat as the stranger rose to approach him, extending a hand and introducing himself in a voice that was both smooth and laced with authority. "I'm Aristotle Dumas," the man declared. Michael's mind raced. If this was the very man Victor had heard whispers about, a man with a shared vendetta against their mutual foe, then his world was about to be turned upside down. In that moment, a sense of dread mingled with disbelief. How could a figure as elusive and cunning as Aristotle choose to meet with Jack so openly? And, more importantly, what did this mean for their precarious hold over Genoa City? For Michael and Victor, the realization of Aristotle's presence, now confirmed by Michael's own eyes, forced them into a corner of strategic recalibration. They had to consider every possibility. Was Aristotle truly an enemy aligned with Jack's cause? Or was he a double agent playing a dangerous game of his own? Victor, despite his notorious reputation, was not blind to the layers of nuance in every adversary's actions. He had always believed that even the most ruthless individuals carried burdens of their own. Still, in his mind, no justification could erase the fact that he had become the target of multiple conspiracies. As the pieces of the puzzle began to click into place, Victor and Michael retreated into their private war room. A space cluttered with maps, dossiers, and blinking digital screens displaying intel from across the city. The atmosphere was heavy with tension as they prepared for the uncertain days ahead. Victor's steely gaze met Michael's as they formulated their next moves. Their plan was simple in theory but complex in execution: locate and neutralize Aristotle Dumas before his alliance with Jack could destabilize their carefully maintained empire. Michael, ever the diligent strategist, meticulously reviewed every scrap of information available. "We must be prepared for anything," he asserted, his voice echoing in the silent room. "Aristotle is clever, and if he is indeed working with Jack, then we're facing a coordinated threat. We need to tighten our security and prepare our teams for an immediate strike should the opportunity arise." Victor, his expression inscrutable, responded with a curt nod. While his methods were often brutal, the stakes demanded a level of precision and foresight that left no room for error. He couldn't afford to underestimate the capabilities of a man like Aristotle, especially if it meant the loss of his family's honor or, worse, the crumbling of his power base. Back at the cafe, the meeting between Jack and Aristotle had taken on a sense of surreal inevitability. Over steaming cups of coffee and amidst the soft murmur of other patrons, the two men exchanged not just words but glances laden with unspoken determination. Aristotle revealed fragments of his past battles, hinting at scars that ran deep in motivations that were as personal as they were strategic. "My enemies have always believed that fear was the only currency," Aristotle confided, his eyes dark with memories of past betrayals. "But I intend to show them that courage, and a willingness to act, is far more potent." Jack, whose own scars were etched from years of fighting against injustice, felt an unexpected surge of hope. With Aristotle's guidance, perhaps the time had come to turn the tide against Victor, a man who had become the epitome of corruption in their eyes. Jack's determination was now a blazing inferno, fueled by the promise of a new beginning where power was earned through honor rather than treachery. Meanwhile, in the confines of his war room, Victor's phone buzzed with the latest update. Michael had confirmed the identity of the mysterious stranger in the cafe. A cold smile crept across Victor's face, a smile that was as enigmatic as it was dangerous. "It appears our opponent is more daring than we anticipated," he mused. "Prepare the contingency plans. We must act swiftly before they can forge a united front." Michael's fingers danced over the keyboard as he sent out urgent messages to trusted operatives, their orders clear: surveillance, interception, and if necessary, immediate force. The convergence of these forces set the stage for an impending showdown that would shake the very foundations of Genoa City. On one side, Jack and Aristotle, bound by a shared desire for justice and a determination to bring Victor to his knees. On the other, Victor and Michael, ready to unleash every resource at their disposal to quash any uprising that threatened their dominion. As the day gave way to night, the city itself seemed to hold its breath, each shadow concealing a potential battleground, each light a beacon of hope or warning. In the days to come, every whispered rumor, every furtive glance across crowded streets, and every intercepted communication would add layers to an intricate tapestry of alliances and betrayals. Victor and Michael, though outwardly confident, knew that the enemy they faced was unpredictable, capable of striking from the most unexpected angles. They prepared not just with arms and tactics, but with a resolve hardened by years of surviving in a city where every friend could be a foe, and every enemy might harbor a secret. The meeting between Jack and Aristotle was more than just an alliance, it was the spark that could ignite a rebellion, a call to arms that promised to upend the established order. As the two men plotted their strategy, the stage was set for a confrontation that would test loyalties, expose hidden agendas, and ultimately force every character in Genoa City to confront the true cost of ambition. Victor's impending reaction, shrouded in both determination and an eerie sense of forewarning, was now inevitable. With Michael at his side and a network of spies feeding him constant updates, he vowed that no betrayal, no matter how cleverly concealed, would go unpunished. The battleground was drawn, and the players were poised on the edge of a precipice, each move in this dangerous game of power and retribution echoing with the promise of either salvation or ruin. In this volatile theater, where every secret whispered in the dark could herald a new era or a catastrophic downfall, the convergence of enemies was not merely a clash of ambitions, it was a reckoning, a moment in time when the hidden truths of Genoa City would finally be brought into the light. And as the night deepened, the preparations of Victor and Michael mirrored the steely resolve of Jack and Aristotle, each side ready to embrace the chaos and forge a future defined not by fear, but by the courage to stand against tyranny. Jack's heart pounded with adrenaline as he navigated the labyrinthine back alleys of Genoa City. The opportunity that fate had granted him was one too precious to squander. With Aristotle Dumas by his side, a man whose mysterious expertise complemented Jack's raw determination, they had forged an alliance built on mutual enmity towards Victor. While Jack brought with him an unwavering resolve and an intimate knowledge of Victor's vulnerabilities, Aristotle wielded a network of contacts and a strategic mind that had already crippled many of Victor's lesser adversaries. Together, they were poised to create a miracle, a seismic shift in the balance of power that had long favored Victor. That afternoon, the city's veneer of normalcy belied the fierce battle of wills that was about to erupt. Jack and Aristotle had agreed to meet at a discreet cafe tucked away from prying eyes, a temporary safe house where they could consolidate their plans. As they sat in a secluded corner, whispering over cups of bitter coffee, Jack's eyes suddenly narrowed. Across the room, he saw Michael, Victor's ever-watchful lieutenant, lurking near the entrance. Michael's presence was a stark reminder that their every move was being monitored, and the stakes had just been raised. "Aristotle," Jack hissed under his breath, his tone laced with urgency, "we can't let him see us together. That bastard is eavesdropping." Aristotle's eyes flickered with both determination and a hint of mischief. "I understand your concern, Jack. But sometimes, to shatter the enemy's foundation, you must show your hand, even if it means risking exposure." Jack's jaw tightened. "You mean you'd openly declare that we're in Genoa? That you're here to take down Victor?" Aristotle leaned forward, lowering his voice conspiratorially. "My reputation precedes me, and I'm not one to hide in the shadows forever. But there is wisdom in caution, at least until we're sure that revealing our presence won't jeopardize our advantage." Jack's eyes darted to Michael, who continued to linger, his gaze seemingly fixed on every subtle nuance of their conversation. "There's no chance for us if he gets wind of our plans," Jack muttered bitterly. "Victor has built his empire on fear and manipulation, but once he realizes that his enemies are uniting, he'll do whatever it takes to crush us. We need to plan our next move with precision." The two men fell silent for a moment, each lost in the weight of their shared mission. Jack recalled all the times Victor's iron-fisted rule had twisted the lives of those who dared oppose him, friends, lovers, and rivals alike. Now, with Aristotle's insights into Victor's one fatal weakness, Jack felt a spark of hope kindle in the darkness. But hope, as they both knew too well, was a double-edged sword in Genoa City. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to them, Victor's paranoia was growing by the minute. In his lavish war room, a space decorated with dark mahogany and filled with strategic maps and digital feeds, Victor and Michael pored over every bit of intelligence. Michael had reported a glimpse of Jack with an unidentified man at the cafe, and a cold dread began to seep into Victor's calculated mind. "Jack's taken a risk by allying with this Aristotle Dumas," Michael said, his tone measured yet edged with apprehension. "The implications are severe. Their combined strengths could unravel everything we've built." Victor's eyes, usually brimming with unflinching confidence, flickered with a rare moment of uncertainty. "We cannot allow them to threaten the order I've imposed on this city," he growled. "If they dare to collaborate, then we must respond with a force greater than their combined ambitions. Gather every resource. I want every lead on Aristotle and Jack immediately. No stone is to be left unturned." Back at the cafe, Jack's instinct screamed that time was running short. Sensing the danger of Michael's prying eyes, he leaned over to Aristotle. "We need to act quickly. The moment Michael identifies us, our window of opportunity will vanish." Aristotle's lips curved into a slight, enigmatic smile. "Patience, my friend. I intend to announce my presence only when it suits our plan. Let us wait a few more moments, observe his movements, and then decide on the best course of action." Despite their caution, Michael's persistence soon became impossible to ignore. In a discreet yet calculated move, he signaled to one of his operatives stationed near the cafe's exit. The silent communication was enough. Within minutes, a pair of shadowy figures converged on the cafe, ready to intercept any potential escape. Jack felt a shiver down his spine. Their alliance, so promising in its potential, now teetered on the brink of exposure. As the cafe's ambient noise provided a fragile cover, Jack's mind raced through every possible contingency. His anger surged when he realized that Michael's close surveillance could very well expose their entire operation to Victor, a man whose wrath was legendary. "Aristotle, if Michael exposes us, there will be no coming back from this," Jack cautioned. Aristotle nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I know. But sometimes, the enemy's confidence can be used against him. If Victor believes we are careless, he may overextend himself. Our goal is to lure him into a trap where his own weaknesses become his undoing." In that fleeting moment, the unspoken strategy crystallized between them. Jack's seething anger would be transformed into the fuel for a daring counteroffensive. Aristotle would use his enigmatic allure and reputation as a public enemy of Victor to draw attention away from Jack's covert maneuvers. Together, they would stage a diversion so audacious that Victor would have no choice but to reveal himself, thereby providing a singular opportunity to strike at the heart of his empire. Across town, Victor's mind churned with anxiety and calculated determination. He had long prided himself on his ability to predict and control every move in Genoa City. Yet the unexpected alliance between Jack and Aristotle, combined with Michael's relentless pursuit, was a variable he had not fully anticipated. As he paced the floor of his war room, he mulled over the possible ramifications. "What do they plan to do?" he wondered aloud, his voice echoing off the cold stone walls. "They believe that by combining their strengths, they can exploit my vulnerabilities. But they underestimate the lengths I am willing to go to protect what is mine." Victor's inner circle was no less troubled. Michael's reports had painted a picture of an alliance that threatened not only Victor's control but the very fabric of the city's underworld. "Their plan is simple in theory," Michael noted during one of the rapid-fire strategy sessions, "but execution in a city as volatile as ours is never straightforward." Jack's impulsiveness and Aristotle's penchant for dramatic declarations might just force our hand prematurely. Victor's response was a steely glare. "Then we prepare. We will fortify our defenses, tighten our network of spies, and when the time is right, we will dismantle their alliance piece by piece. If they believe they can play at our game, they have much to learn about the true nature of power." As dusk turned into a cold, restless night, the stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine allegiances in Genoa City. Jack and Aristotle, both acutely aware of the dangers, resolved to use every tool at their disposal to outwit Michael and, ultimately, Victor. Their plan was not merely to survive the impending storm but to turn it into a weapon, one that could shatter Victor's dominion once and for all. The hours ahead would be critical. With every whispered conversation, every surreptitious glance exchanged across crowded rooms, and every intercepted transmission, the threads of this intricate plot wove a tapestry of impending chaos and opportunity. Jack's determination was unwavering. He was fueled not only by a burning desire for retribution against Victor's tyranny but also by a newfound belief that together with Aristotle, they could change the very order of the city. And so, as the night deepened and shadows stretched long across the city streets, Victor's empire braced for a challenge unlike any it had ever seen. With his heart pounding and his mind racing, Jack planned to use Michael's surveillance against him, turning an enemy's strength into a fatal flaw. Meanwhile, Aristotle's cryptic promises of retribution resonated in every secret meeting and covert maneuver. The convergence of their paths was no coincidence, it was the deliberate, dangerous choreography of fate itself. Victor and Michael, ensconced in their war room, prepared to meet this new threat with a blend of fear and fierce resolve. Every contingency was mapped out, every potential weakness analyzed. They knew that the coming days would determine not just the survival of their empire, but the future of every soul caught in the crossfire of ambition and retribution. In the unfolding drama of Genoa City, alliances were fragile and trust was a commodity in short supply. Jack and Aristotle had taken a gamble, a daring, calculated risk that could either usher in a new era of justice or plunge the city into chaos. With Victor's shadow looming ever larger and Michael's vigilance unyielding, the battle lines had been drawn. Now, all that remained was the relentless march toward an uncertain, yet undeniably explosive, future.